Well, let's talk about this further, understand why has it happened and what will be the impact if India reaches or crosses that benchmark of $800 billion that's been set for exports in this current financial year. We have Professor Raes Mohan Joshi with us. He's Vice-Chancellor of the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. Good evening to you, Professor Joshi. First of all, what do you make of this achievement over a period of 10 years of doubling of India's exports, and how do you think has it happened?
Thank you so much, Gautamji. I think I think it's a very good news that despite of the global headwinds and a tough, challenging global time, India's exports could steer up and achieve the record. The export figure, and we are likely to again have the record exports in this financial year and crossing the 800 billion of the target. And it's indeed, when the whole world is in war, especially the war in the Russia and Ukraine has not subsidized. There is still we were having a war time in the Middle East between Israel and Palestine, Iran and other Iranian countries. We had a problem of the Red Sea. We had a problem with the Suez. We have a high tariff in terms of the containers which you are showing. And despite if India could achieve a high target of export, it talks of not only a well thought of strategy but of a very strategic implementation which has been done by the Department of Commerce and the Ministry of Commerce. I have seen with the first hand that the government spends a lot of time in crafting a meticulous export strategy, looking into the weaknesses. And I think the way some of the schemes which has come up by the government, and its meticulous implementation, these schemes are monitored on week to week basis. And we were very much worried about what we call as the European economies have not gone up. There is still the problem persists in China. Middle East is in a complete problematic, and some uncertainty also rising out of some political changes in United States of America. But despite of that, we have come up. And now let me tell you the key aspects that the export strategy, that exports are being promoted, exports are being facilitated, as the minister has already talked of the global.
Yes, we put a graphic on the screen which shows how India's exports have surged over 10 years in billion US dollars. That piece of information was missing. But do you think, apart from the schemes that the government has launched, there are other reasons as well, especially the kind of PLIs that were launched by the government, and also the trade pacts that have been done with different nations? I can mention the EFTA for one, then the one with the UAE and with Australia as well, and there are more in the pipeline.
I think that's very important, because all these FTAs, especially we have tried to identify the gaps and probably the areas which are there. So I think a deep research has gone into before signing these FTAs. EFTA has been a game changer, as you know, that these European countries, the partner countries in EFTA, which are the Switzerland, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Iceland, they have talked about investing $100 billion in India. So that's a game changer, and probably these kind of FTAs are not being signed in other parts of the world. UAE that you talked of is India has got a very, very synergistic relationship with UAE, because India is a lot of dependent on its oil need or the energy need on the Middle East countries, and UAE is a key partner in our energy need. But at the same time, UAE is a key partner in technology supply, technology related activities, and then the investment from the UAE coming up, wherein India is a key source of not only the manpower, not only the technical manpower to UAE, but we are a key source of the food supply, food security of UAE. And therefore you have seen in these FTAs special attention has been given to the to the food parks, investment in food. And then India is exporter in the food, as you are aware that in terms of India is the largest exporter of grains in the world, having 40% share only in rice itself, then fruits, vegetables, and many other things. Lot of Indian companies are, going to UAE fast, and we are also investing in UAE. Lot of money is being flown from India to UAE and vice versa. So that is another. And Australia is also another very strategic partner. And it seems that,
Yes.
in the Cold War between America and China, and in time to come, that India's significance is likely to be felt not only, in our traditional partner, but even in the European countries as a reliable supplier and a reliable trade and the investment partner. And I can foresee that our trade relationship with with Europe, with which we have signed, and we are also looking at the India EU FTA, India European Union FTA. We are also working on that India UK FTA. So and all these things, I'm sure it may take time, but
Yes, there was talk of some sort of a trade deal with the US as well. Do you think with the return of Donald Trump and the kind of tariffs that he's been talking about, especially against China, not to mention Mexico and Canada, there might be something in it which would be positive for India, or do you think India could also be negatively impacted?
No, I think India has got a outstanding capability to come out of the calamities or the difficulties. And when you look into the Trump, on the political and the strategic side, Trump is Trump says that he loves tariff, but Trump also loves India, and therefore India is going to be strategically benefited. You see that Trump has talked of leaving 60% of the tariff on the products imported from China. Canada is already he has raised the tariff, but so far India is not. And therefore, there are certain items of the interest in which America is keen on. Agriculture could be one, dairy could be one, but there are multiple items wherein, and India will not, may not bend into the pressure tactics. But what I think is that strategically, America's, imposing high tariff and, not having, almost normal relationship with China and EU, I think a new thing has emerged after Trump coming into the power, because the EU countries thought that America support for them and the trade is granted, but now they would also feel the heat. And in this case, India would be a country with which the European countries will like to shake hands with. As you are aware of, the Trump has already threatened, I am not sure what word to use, he has threatened to the multilateral organizations like WTO and other organizations, wherein the basic principle was MFN, most favored nation, wherein one tariff, one country. But Trump is talking of leaving different tariff to the different countries. So I think this is going to be a big departure from the well-established norm of the WTO and other multilateral forum. And in this departure, the game of the trade is going to be negotiation, hard negotiation, and
Okay.
Trump is going to give a tough negotiation to all the countries, in which I'm sure that India would gain.
Certainly, and then of course there is that cherished goal of $800 billion and going beyond that as well to become a trade surplus country, and let's see if that happens before or by 2047. Thank you for joining us and talking about it, Professor Joshi.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaste.